He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay, because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise and ditch the outdated sales tactics and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. Hi, my name is Jay Lee, founder of Sales Ninja. And if you're tired of chasing leads, handling endless objections, and feeling like you have to convince people to buy, you're definitely in the right place. Here we do sales differently. We believe in positioning over pressure, where the right people lean in without the need for pushy tactics. And that's the heart of the reverse glass selling method, which is a kingdom-driven approach built on trust, service, and true connection. Because when you lead with value, sales becomes effortless. And when you sell more, you can give more. Today's guest is someone who has helped thousands of experts sell out their offers by mastering the words they use. She teaches instant resonance, a way of communicating that speaks directly to the right people and makes buying feel natural, not forced. Her work blends buyer psychology, human behavior, and real-world sales experience into messaging that actually converts. Whether it's content, emails, pages, masterclasses, or sales conversations, she shows entrepreneurs like yourself how to say the right thing at the right time so their offers land. I'm excited to welcome Jacqueline Yvette. Welcome, Jacqueline. How are you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me. Doing great. How are you?
Pleasure. I'm doing very well. I'm so glad that you're here today. Look forward to diving deep into some of those sales secrets and sales sauce.
Yes, me too. Let's do it.
Awesome. So let's go back into your personal journey of this entrepreneurial, pathway. Was there kind of like a moment where either your family had a business, or how did you grow up in being raised up with this entrepreneurial mindset?
Great question. Well, my mom was a real estate agent and my dad was a lawyer. So I had kind of an interesting mix of influence with my parents, and they're so great. And they definitely had a more entrepreneurial sort of mindset about life. They really wanted me to explore a lot of different things. So like growing up, I didn't think that I was going to start a business necessarily, but I watched my mom essentially running her own business as a real estate agent. And I actually saw a lot of things that I didn't like about entrepreneurship. I saw her being totally exhausted a lot of the time. I saw her running from meeting to meeting and showing to showing and not really being around as much as she wanted to. And same thing with my dad. And so I saw a lot of what I didn't want, but I also was really encouraged to explore a lot of different things. And one of the things that my parents really did well was they encouraged me to explore the arts a lot. So they wanted me to explore, just painting, a ton of different instruments, all sorts of sports. And so I got the experiences. I got a lot of different diverse experiences in all those different hobbies. And I think that nurturing of my creativity definitely led me to where I am now. But also, what's really interesting too about observing my dad as a lawyer, I did a training on this for my community recently, is how much I actually learned about marketing from having a lawyer father. I learned so much about what it means to essentially sell your, make your case, right? Sell your offer. And as a lawyer, you are making the case to the jury, and you have to essentially sell them on an idea, right? You have to sell people on an idea before they ever get to a place where they, are going to buy into anything else that you're selling. And so I took that on in a big way and learned that is really a parallel teaching with marketing, right? You have to sell people on an idea first. And I'm sure you resonate with that in sales, right? They have to be bought into the idea that you're talking about before they're ever going to buy anything that you're selling. It's not about the product. You have to first sell the idea and create buy-in and belief before people get there. And so, I've been learning marketing lessons since I was a kid, but didn't realize it until I think much later, and then started my first businesses in college when I was 19. So I'm 31 now, so I've been doing it for quite some time now. And fell in love with marketing specifically and helping smaller businesses kind of by chance. It happened just very serendipitously. I actually didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wasn't going to have like a normal job. But I thought that I was going to go into music. I am a writer first and foremost. And so I wanted to do ghostwriting. I wanted to be a lyricist. I wanted to be a songwriter and be one of those people who just writes music and then sells it to the artists so then they can go and play it on stage. And so I took classes at Berklee College of Music in Boston. And
you're that good.
Oh, no. I just wanted to get the experience and go to the good schools. But I would say
that's one of the best. I'm impressed. Okay. What was your instrument?
Well, I played a few different things, but the main thing for me was writing. So it was songwriting that I took classes on. So I took songwriting and creative writing classes at Berklee. But I played piano, guitar, flute. I like to sing, all those things. But I thought I was going to go into music. And so I did that. And I went to actually 5 different schools before I graduated. And the reason for that is, I very, very quickly realized that music was not going to be my career, mostly because I had this intuitive sense, or I don't know if it was God talking to me about it. I don't know. But I had this intuitive sense that if I went into the music industry as a business, it would ruin it for me. It would ruin the love of the creative process for me. And it would kind of, ruin the passion of music for me. So I ended up going to all these different schools, trying to figure out who is going to teach me to essentially start a business, because I knew that I was going to do my own thing, but I didn't know what. I knew I wanted to be creative, but okay, if it's not writing in this way, maybe it's writing in another way. What's that going to look like? What's my marketing going to look like there? Or what's my path going to look like? And through a series of events, I ended up serendipitously doing marketing for a local business. I walked into their store one day, and I just kind of would go there often and look around, and I overheard them talking. It was 2 30-something moms opening this store and or running the store. And it was kind of a boutique, clothing and shoes and stuff like that. And I overheard them saying, we're probably gonna have to shut down the store and, move different locations. We're just not getting enough, it's not working. And it's a very small little shop. And so I obviously heard them and I said, hey, sorry to eavesdrop, but are you guys going to have to move? I really like coming in here. What's going on? And they started telling me, and they're like, yeah, we just don't get enough foot traffic. There's not enough people who come in here, and we don't know what to do. We think it's the location. We probably need a different location. And so I grew up in that town. And so I started rattling off ideas. I was like, well, have you partnered with other local businesses? Do you do any, do you do any email newsletters? Do you, what type of marketing do you do? Do you do any advertising? This was like very early stages of Instagram too. So I was like, do you ever post on social media? And they just kind of stared at me. They were like, what are you talking about? And so they were like, can you do it? Do you think you can do it? And I don't know, maybe, I was like a college kid. And I was like, sure. And I'm the type of person who I will say yes and then figure it out later if it's something that I want to do. So I was like, yeah, for sure. And then immediately went to the library and checked out just a ton of marketing books and how do I market brick and mortar company? I don't know. I've never owned a brick and mortar business. So I had no idea what to do. And, but I was like, I can figure this out. I'm passionate enough to figure this out. And so I tried a bunch of different things with them. We got their website up and running. We started a subscription service with their existing customers where we would like build outfits for them and then send them to them, and they would be on this recurring subscription and send back the stuff they didn't like. We partnered with other local businesses. We created events, all sorts of things. And I managed their Instagram account and all of that. And they were able to keep their kids in school and not change the location and keep the store. And I haven't talked to them in years, but a handful of years ago I checked and they were still there and they were still
What? That is
great.
insane.
That was my first experience where I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And I knew I wanted to do something in business, but I also wanted to do something creative. And that was the moment I think it really clicked for me, where I thought marketing is the intersection of business ideas, big projects, and creativity. This is where I can bring my creative power and my writing and that drive that I have, and also help people in a big way. And this is going to be my thing. And so then I went back to school for that and studied business and marketing and media and communication. So that's where it all began in college.
That's insane that, as a young teenager, you just listen, eavesdrop, hear a need, a pain, and you go to the library, do your research, try to figure it out, and just take massive imperfect action with subscription services, partnering with local businesses, managing IG accounts. So as you're trying to figure stuff out as you're going, which I absolutely love, by the way, what do you think is one thing that helped? I would say that's a very, very difficult thing to do. Yeah. Which is what you accomplished, to help the small clothing and shoe boutique store, stay in business for, a little while longer, if not years. What is some of the things when you talk about subscription services or partnering with local businesses, do you think was like, this is what helped keep them afloat?
Yeah, great. Well, I think with any business, there are two main things that we are listening for or looking for when it comes to bringing in more sales. And the first is looking for problems that people have that they don't want to have anymore. So what's like a situation, a frustration, a problem that someone is experiencing that they don't want to have. And then the second is an outcome, a result, an experience that they want, but they don't have. And so, problems and results, those are the main things that we're looking at. And, my main business, my main clientele now, my main audience and everyone I work with now are people who are helping people to transform in some way. So coaches, consultants, practitioners, dietitians, service providers. And so that's really obvious in that case, right? Figuring out, what the problem is specifically that they solve, and then the result that they specifically help people create, and then how to talk about that in a lot of different ways and angles. And we can talk about that a little later. But in this case in particular, I had to learn what that looked like for a brick and mortar company.
Yeah.
And, how that would work with, people walking into a physical location. And so we had to get really creative with it. We had to try different campaigns. We had to, ask people like, why do you come in here? Because a lot of times when someone comes into a boutique, it's like a nice to have. It's something that it's for fun. I'm going to buy a new pair of shoes. I'm going to buy a necklace. I'm going to buy a bag, something like that. It's not something where they think, oh, I need to solve a problem necessarily to go and buy this. But the same, critical laws of marketing still apply. There are still, underlying psychology for the reasons why someone would buy something. And there's certain psychological principles and emotional triggers as part of that experience, why someone decides to even come in the store or go to a partner event that we put together, or sign up for the subscription, or, even follow on social media and ultimately then buy goods from the store. But we had to sort of reverse engineer that and start from the beginning. Why would someone be interested in this? Like, for example, the subscription, the main sort of psychological principle there, or the main why that we were focused on is convenience. These were busy moms. They were running around all the time. They didn't want to have to think about, buying new clothes or overhauling their whole closet, their whole wardrobe. That sounded really overwhelming. So the idea of having an expert in their back pocket who is just down the street 10, 15 minutes away, choosing and selecting items for them almost like a personal shopper, was really desirable because they were able to outsource that load. So there were a variety of things that we would focus on there to make sure that we were going a layer deeper than just thinking, how do we make this look shiny and new? And, think like a normal boutique owner of like, here's our stuff, come on in. It was going a lot deeper than that.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm just marinating in this part because I feel like this is harder than any other niches. So that's why I'm really stuck on this. You talked about buyer psychology. You talked about, why would people come in? Why would they buy? That's genius. And I think that's very, very powerful. Was there a moment when you realized that words were the real leverage point in business and how you say things? Because I heard you say things like, how do you talk about them in different ways and different angles?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the number one hill that I will die on.
We hit it. Okay, that's good. So tell me more. I'm interested.
Yeah. I believe firmly that the way that you communicate the value of what you offer to the people who need it is the number one most important piece of every business. And if you think about it, if you had a group of people in front of you right now, if you had 100 people in front of you right now who are your perfect fit person, they're the person who you made your product for, they're the person who can get the best results, they're the exact person you can help, they're the exact person you want to sell to, they are truly the picture of your ideal person. If you had 100 of them right in front of you, but you are talking about what you're offering to them in a way that makes no sense to them, that's over their head and too complex, or maybe it's too jargony and specific and scientific, and they don't understand what you're talking about, or it just sounds like something that they don't want, or something they don't need, or something that's redundant, or something that sounds too hard or boring, or the same as other things they've bought before, whatever it is, they're not going to buy it. And it doesn't matter what type of marketing you do. It doesn't matter if you are on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, email, masterclasses, in-person events. It doesn't matter how much they like you as a person. It doesn't matter if they think you're good looking. Doesn't matter if they've gotten a referral from somebody else. If you can't communicate what you're offering to the person in front of you in a way that instantly resonates with them and hits those two points, it solves a problem or a frustration or situation. It helps them shift out of something they don't want to experience, or both, helps them create a result, an outcome, an experience that they have been trying to get to. They're not going to buy it. And it's not going to work, And so I feel extremely strongly about that. And I've seen that across the board from, brand new businesses of all different niches to businesses doing, 8-9 figures. And they try to launch something with a new angle, or they, are marketing on a new platform, or they launch a new offer, or they do a new event, or they try a new segment, whatever it is, and it doesn't land. And they think, oh, it's just the strategy that I'm running. It's just the platform I'm on. It's whatever it is. It's never any of those things. And it is always the way you talk about the offer, whether that's in writing, on social media, email, sales pages, whatever, or in person at an event, on a podcast, in your videos on social media, wherever. It doesn't, or on a call, when you're in a sales call with somebody. And think about it too, for all of you guys watching and listening who have been on sales conversations. The conversation might be really flowing, might be really great. They might really be vibing with you. They like you, you like them. You can tell they're an ideal fit. You think they're going to buy all the way through. And then you get to the end and they're like, so how does it work? And then you go, well, here's how it works. And you start yapping, and you can hear yourself talking for like a little bit too long. And you just kind of keep going for like several minutes. And their face kind of is like, their eyes start to gloss over a little bit, and they're sort of like, and you go, so how's that sound? How's that feel for you? And they're like, good, and you can tell they didn't really get what you just said. They're not really landing, right? And in that moment, I think I might have just lost the sale, right? Because the way you talked about the offer did not land. And then you have to do this whole scramble to try to fix it and try to make it resonant for them and ask them what they're looking for and kind of go back, right? And it's a hard thing, but if you nail it the first time, and if you have that solid, and it's not necessarily even that you need to have a script, right? That you need to have this perfect script that you say, but if you know how to talk about the thing you've got, and it's not the product necessarily, but what it does for them, right? But like, if you know how to talk about that and meet the person in front of you. There's a concept that I teach called market message match. So when you're able to have your message meet the market in front of you, or specifically the very person, the singular person in front of you, when that match happens, that is where the sale occurs. But if that is not there, nothing else that you do will matter. And it's also the beautiful thing about this too, is it is the one thing that you can get instant feedback on, because your marketing is the first thing people see. So as soon as you put it out, you're going to get feedback on it. You're going to get data. You're going to get people saying, yes, I raised my hand. I want that. Please give me more info. Send it to me. Give me the link, or they'll buy straight up, or they'll book a call with you or whatever. Or you'll hear nothing, or you'll hear a little bit, or people will be like, I don't really know what that is. Whatever it is, you'll get feedback immediately. So whenever I talk to someone who's like, gosh, I just need to get more sales, I don't know what's going on, and they say things like, I feel like I just need a bigger audience or a different audience, I need a new offer, I need to get on a new platform, I say, no, don't do any of that. Start with the people right in front of you, start with the offer you have, and figure out why they want it, who that person is, and those problems and results. Figure that out first. Start there, because I guarantee that if you start a new offer, new audience, new platform, whatever it is, you're going to run into the same problem over and over again if you don't solve this first. And I've seen that a million times. So this is the number one thing that I focus on with all of our clients. And then from there, you expand to the other things. But like, if this one variable is shifted and you do nothing else, that is the fastest way to see more resonance, more interest, and more sales overall.
Amazing. So let's do a masterclass here. I mean, you just gave a clinic here. Let's say, we're both in sales. I'm a sales ninja. I'm a former pastor. I'm a former banker. I've been successful in high ticket closing, 7-figure sales, up to 81% close rates, 96% cash collected rates on multiple months, et cetera, et cetera. Help scale companies from 10K to 100K months, 100K months to $1 million months. What would my offer sound like if 100 people of my ideal buyers are in the room? I know I'm putting you on the spot here. Just give me some like feedback. Give me some like, how would my offer sound so that, man, whether it's a one-to-many group where, it's a high ticket offer, or whether it's a one-on-one VIP scaling offer where someone's stuck at like, I don't know, 100 to 500K a month. They just need some real, scaling mechanisms and hand-holding. Well, I mean, there's kind of two here, like where one's a one-to-many group coaching where it's like a high ticket, and then a VIP could be like, people who are really looking to scale, who need more hand-holding. What would that market message, what did you call it? Market message match. What could that sound like?
Yeah. Well, I love this. This is fun. It's usually obviously a much more involved conversation, but we can totally start diving into it.
Yeah.
But I would say let's focus on one offer just for simplicity's sake. So which one makes most sense for you? The group program offer? The main offer?
Yeah. That's the one I can scale the best and the fastest, and I have done historically. So yes.
Yeah. What do you call it?
It's called the Sales Ninja Pro Accelerator.
Sales Ninja Pro Accelerator. Awesome. Okay. And where do you market right now?
It was primarily Facebook, and then I was doing a bit of LinkedIn.
Okay, so mostly written content?
Written and stories and videos.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. And your ideal fit client, your perfect fit person is who?
I feel like it's shifted, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was coaches, consultants, SaaS founders, and digital marketing agencies, kind of like those four.
Okay, coaches, consultants, SaaS founders, agencies.
Correct.
Okay, awesome. So the first thing that I would do there is pick one. I would pick one main one, because the scenarios and situations that they're going to be dealing with are going to be a little bit different. As you know, obviously, the core work that you're doing with them might be the same, like the work in the sales process may be the same or roughly the same, but your marketing is going to be slightly different. So my first suggestion or recommendation there, as far as how to dial in the marketing even more, would be to choose who the primary focus is, because the way I see it is it's sort of like a bullseye. And so at the core of the bullseye, the center, you've got your bullseye ideal client, and that person is going to be the number one person who all of your marketing is catered to. That's the exact person you're writing for and speaking for. And then there are sort of rings outside of that, right? And so when you speak to the bullseye, you're still going to get people who are on the rings. Let's say your core person. Well, what would you say? Who would you say is the core? Like coaches, consultants?
Traditionally, it's been for the first scaling, it was the coaches. And then the ones that I've been scaling a lot faster are agencies. So kind of like trying to figure out which one should I talk to.
Yeah. I think either one is fine, but they are completely different experiences.
They are. Yeah.
So which one does your gut say? as far as who to lead with on the front.
So the agencies, because they're bigger, that'd be more like VIP clients, I feel. But the coaches, I can do a group coaching and one to many. As long as they're not like completely starting from scratch, which I've helped hit 6 figures in like 6 months, which is hard to do.
Nice.
I prefer to work with people who are stuck at like, 10 to 25K or even 5K at the very least. Something.
Great. Yeah. So coaches at like 10K. So they're
Yeah.
just, scraping 6 figures a year at that point, or 6-figure run rate
That's right.
for the year. That would be the person who I would create all of my marketing for. So I would think about who is that coach at around like, 5K is kind of what's the price point of the offer?
It's 15K. It was for 3 months. And then I was thinking of extending to 6 or even 12 because I'm like, I feel like the market's becoming more saturated and the price points of a lot of offers are like 10K for a year or something like that. So I'm just trying to figure out what's a good market price.
Yeah, I'd do 6K. 12 months can feel like, or not 6K, 6 months. I think 12 months can feel like a really long time, and that can add some friction in my experience working with coaches, because people think, oh gosh, a year, that's a huge commitment on top of whatever they pay. So I would do 6 months, 15K sounds fine. But for 15K investment, 5K a month is a little bit rough for people. So I would say, as far as your target person, so I would say aim for people who are like 10K at least, or 8 to 10K a month. But it's probably going to be, at that point, as their income's going to be like this. It's not going to be
So
steady to 10K. So, I think but that brings me to my next point is I would then spend a lot of time talking to that person and say, where are my coaches who are trying to go from 100K a year to 250? Or where are my coaches who want to go from 100K to 500K? You said you've helped people make big jumps, right? Like a big leap in their revenue on over the course of the year. So I would look at, something that's somewhat believable. Like it doesn't feel like this, 100K a year to $1 million a year in just months, right? But like, something that feels a little bit believable, but is something that they really, really want. It's very aspirational. It's their next goalpost. It's their next milestone. And then I would, start some conversations with them, put out some content like, where are my coaches looking to, go to 250K a year from around 100K a year. I want to ask some questions, and I would get into some market research with them, and I would ask them, what are you trying right now? I'm assuming your income is kind of inconsistent. Why do you think that is? What's going on there? What does your marketing look like? Specifically, I know sales, that would be my question for them. But, if sales is your main thing and scaling, I would be asking them questions around that, things that you need to know. So what's their price point? How many clients do they have right now? How many clients do they get on average? What's their acquisition process for that? Is that repeatable, or is that kind of by chance? All of those sort of questions. And I would get really clear on the themes and trends that I see across the board for that particular market. And then I would use all of that to inform all of my messaging, all of my positioning, and, potentially even shift the name of the program or like a tagline for the program to speak to that specific person. And it may even be something as simple as, taking coaches from 6 figures a year to, $500,000 a year. Or something along those lines, or building your 500K business, or scaling to 500K. Like I love titles and taglines that are outcome oriented. Let's say they want to go to 500K. I would even have the program called Scaling to 500K. And then the tagline is something like helping coaches scale to $500,000 a year with, repeatable, simple sales strategies, or something along those lines. Right. So that is just my quick little, suggestions from what you've shared so far. But that's how I would start to zoom in on who is this for specifically, create all of my content for them. Because at first we're talking to SaaS people, agencies, coaches, consultants. They all have different experiences and types of businesses they're building, and models and things they're trying, and people they're listening to, and all that stuff. So we zoom in on the person, zoom in on the problem and the result that they want. And that is the foundation of every single thing that you create.
Amazing. There's a lot of people watching. There's 1,371 people watching. So we have Daft Planet saying, hey, Jay, love the podcast. Megan Monroe is a serial entrepreneur, says, hey, friend. Andrew says, great sales psychology insight. And he was just echoing the market message match. Alex Petrov, realtor, says, wow, lots of people watching. Miles says 4 different funnels running here because we have like different channels. Andrew says, this is incredible. As many funnels as possible. Ryan Alford. Miles just said fire. One West Group says hello. We're just acknowledging everyone here. Nora, I don't know how to pronounce this. Norarton, amazing. So yeah, great stuff. Jacqueline is just dropping fire bombs. So great job on sharing all those incredible real time. That's when you know a really sharp sales, scaling marketing message entrepreneur can really do it in real time, right? Versus using ChatGPT or looking at books and stuff like that. So let's talk about scaling strategies. How did refining your language impact revenue growth? Like, for example, you said like you do a 6-month program. What's your ticket price ballpark, and what are your offers?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. This is a great conversation, actually, because I'm in the process right now of making some shifts to the way that I am structuring my business. And so I've been, doing this for, like 12 years or so. And
You're a
by
veteran.
this, in helping people grow their businesses, helping service-based businesses, coaches, consultants, practitioners, all the people we were just talking about, grow their businesses for quite some time now. And so the majority of that work over the past 12, 13 years has been high ticket. It's been high proximity, high ticket, high touch. So I've been working with people one-on-one in masterminds, year-long masterminds, in events, retreats, a variety of high ticket, high touch, high involvement type of experiences. And I absolutely love that. And I, I don't know if sometimes I don't like to use the word scaled, because scaled is used a little bit too much and can mean a lot of different things. But I grew a mastermind program called Sold Out Programs several years ago. I started it, I think, like six years ago or so, and grew that quite large throughout the pandemic, and had 50, 60 clients in there at a time, and loved it. And that was a $36K offer for the year. And it was a fantastic offer. But then I went into some pretty rough burnout, not necessarily because of the clients. I love them. It was amazing. It was a fantastic experience, but because I had to learn a lot of lessons about my own business boundaries. My business had never been that busy before. And I had a bigger team than I'd ever had. I had more clients at that price point than I had ever had throughout the course of a couple years. And it was I let it create a lot of pressure for me around how I needed to make sure that they got results. And they all did get amazing results. And I was very happy with it, but I was working 15-hour days, not really sleeping all that well. Wow. I would just stop working and then literally face plant onto the couch. I had no social life. And because it was mid-pandemic, that felt okay for a while, because it was like everyone's kind of hunkering down and doing their thing right now. And there's money to be had here, and there's people to be helped. And I felt like it was okay, but my body rejected it, and so over time of just doing so much and pushing so hard for a while, I started to actually have physical pain in my body. Wow. And I was, 29, and I had some really bad pain, and I was like, what is going on here? This is not fun. And so I really had to slow down a little bit. And it wasn't that, for a while I judged myself about that, because I was like, was it just that I couldn't handle the growth, or I couldn't handle that many clients, or I couldn't handle the business? And I've come to terms with the fact that it's not that I couldn't handle it. It was just the way that I was doing it. And it was how I sort of neglected myself a little bit in at that time, and stopped listening to my own signals, my body's sort of alarm bells, until it made me listen. And it's not the model. It's not anything like that. It's not the clients that were a problem. It was me and my approach, and my sort of lack of awareness and boundaries for myself. And so I learned a really positive lesson in that having the business you want, and making the money you want to make, and the impact and all of that, does not ever have to come at the cost of your health, your peace, your happiness, your sleep. That is not worth it at all. And so I went into this several year-long process of healing the burnout,
Wow.
And also, just taking stock of what I wanted to do next in a way that would work for me. And so I didn't shut down the program. I kept doing it, but I created new systems, new structures to allow me to continue to do what I wanted to do without going back into burnout. But I had some fear around that. I was a little afraid, what if it happens again? Or what if I don't try hard enough and then all of a sudden, I get back into this burnout place. But what I really discovered is that I was just rushing for no reason, kind of. I've always been very ambitious, but I was sort of like, okay, every month needs to be higher revenue than the last, next month needs to be 200K, and then, it needs to double every time or whatever. Right. And that for what, why? And that's, I think, a pervasive message online when you're trying to grow these types of businesses, where, if you have a down month or whatever, the business is dying or whatever. And that's not the case. That's not normal with any other businesses. That's not normal outside of our industry to be higher every month. That's not a thing. In fact, so many businesses, most of the biggest businesses are in debt and they use it strategically. It's not, we don't think like that with other businesses. So I digress. So anyway, I had to essentially figure out the model that was going to work for me, and then the things that I needed to do structurally and strategically to support the life that I wanted to have, in addition to the impact and the business that I wanted to grow. And so now I work with my clients in a much more leveraged way, while still providing a really great support for them and being hands-on still. And so I have the same offer, sold out programs, as our core offer, but it's not this super, super intense mastermind with, a bunch of calls every week and a lot of, one-on-one calls with each person and, reviewing a million of their marketing assets. We still have a lot of high touch support, but it's a lot more leveraged, and I'm able to do it in a way that really works and allows me to scale it so much more. And I've created, some different pathways to bring people into it too. So, I don't often promote it publicly. I will make invitations behind the scenes, but I've got some, like lower ticket offers that will lead people to it. And it sells pretty easily without me needing to do all the things I used to do, which I had a whole sales team and, a sales team lead and setters and closers. And we were doing, stand-ups every morning and all sorts of sales training calls. And then I had to meet with the rest of my team and then all the delivery for the clients and then managing my coaches. And it was just a lot. And now I have a much leaner team, much more leveraged offers. My clients still get amazing results. And I have a lot more peace, and the business still does well. And so, anyway, that's a lot of words, but it's been a journey. So
amazing. Wow. We definitely need to do a part 2, because I wanted to talk about, how you came out of burnout. How did you go into a healthier state? And then also wanted to go into more deep dives on the sales messaging. I just wanted to end to respect your time here with one free gift and one low ticket offer. If you want to explain the two of them, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for keeping an eye on the time. I appreciate that. Sometimes I'm like, I get off on a roll and I'm like,
yeah.
So what we have here is called the $1 Million Messaging Mistakes. And so as we were talking about earlier, there are certain things that I have seen across the board across all different niches over the past 12 years or so when it comes to putting your offers out there for people, whether you're talking about it on a call or in social media, emails, wherever, masterclasses. And there are a handful of mistakes that I've seen people make over and over. And so I documented them all, and I explained what to do differently if you're making these mistakes. And these are the most common things that I see. Again, oftentimes people even running 8-9 figure businesses are making these mistakes. And also, of course, people who are just starting and everyone in between. And if you tweak even one or two of these mistakes just slightly, you're going to see better results from your marketing and your sales. So you can download this for free. It's just a guide. It's pretty comprehensive, but it's really, really helpful. It's very simple, and I think that'll help a lot. So you can just go to that page and download it. Mm-hmm. And then I just recorded this. This is brand new. I am so proud of it. It's like, I have never worked this hard for a low ticket $27 offer. It is so good. That $27 should have like 2 zeros on the end of it. really.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, this chick is making some sense, I like this, I would highly recommend you just grab this at $27 before I decide to not be crazy and put some more zeros on the end of there. But basically, it's called Say This to Get Sales, and it sounds a little bit like it's a sales program, but it's less about what to say on your calls, although you can use it in that case. And it's more about exactly what we've been talking about today, how to position what you're talking about so that it is something that people know that they want, specifically the people who need it. Because that's the whole point, right? You want to talk about what you're offering so that the people who need it know that they need it, right? So that is what this does. It is so good, and it teaches you how to use words, phrases, language, communication that leads the right people to buy. And it's a course, and so you can, and they're short actionable videos, and you can go through it and you'll get instant access to that. And the mistakes are also included in there, so if you decide you just want to grab this, then you'll get the mistakes in more detail, broken down in videos. There's a video lesson on the page you can watch if you want like a sneak peek, but as it says here, when you can clearly articulate the value of your offer, it sells like crazy. And the simplest way to sell more of it is just tweaking how you talk about it.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for these gifts. And so guys, grab it. There is the show notes in here on the $1 Million Messaging Mistakes, and also the let's say less and say it better. Okay, so that's
Say This to Get Sales is what it's called. Yep.
I'll say, okay, gotcha. Okay, we're gonna go into our rapid lightning round to kind of end our time, and I'd love to get you on a part 2 to talk about more of that. How did you get healthy? How did you come out of burnout? So the lightning round is just what's the thought or word that comes out of your mind when I asked you these last couple of questions. What's one word that entrepreneurs overuse in messaging, do you feel?
Authenticity.
Okay. What's one phrase that instantly weakens a sales pitch?
Oh, goodness. There are so many going through my head.
Yeah.
Gosh. Better.
Okay. What's one messaging shift that improves conversions on sales fast?
Specificity.
Okay. What's a book that shaped how you think about influence and sales?
Oh, goodness. Gosh, there's so many of them. There's this one book that I really love, and it's not a sales book, and it's all about charisma.
Really?
And I'm forgetting what the name is called. I'm Googling it really quick because I need to find out. What's it called? Shoot. It's... Oh, I don't know. I can find it for you, but it's a book. I read it years ago, and it's so good. It wasn't about business or sales. It was all about charisma. And it was about how you communicate and how you show up in a way that creates this sort of charisma, charm, where you essentially can really connect with people. And that has been immensely helpful. So I can find the exact name of it. And
Not any of these ones, is it?
No, I just Googled. It's none of these. It's no, it's not. I can picture it in my mind, but I don't remember what it's called. So I will find out for you.
What's a second runner-up?
Yes. Let's see. I mean, I like Influence by Robert Cialdini. The Psychology of Persuasion. And then there's another one by what's his name? Schwartz. What's the book called? It's like a $200 book.
That the marketing book?
Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I just can't remember his name either.
I know.
Schwartz.
Hold on. Let me find it for you. Eugene Schwartz's book, Breakthrough Advertising.
Yes, yes.
It's a $200 hardcover book, and it's so worth it. It is incredible. Oh, and now I'm starting to think of more of them. It's like one of those things where people ask you, what's your favorite movie? And you're like, now I can't think of a single movie.
Yeah.
But Breakthrough Advertising is amazing. Great Leads is also a great book. Great Leads is by Michael Masterson. I love Michael Masterson. He also has the book, the one that I was just reading that now I can't remember. Ready, Fire, Aim. It is.
Oh yeah.
Yes, highly recommend that one. Big fan of his.
Awesome.
Yeah, so those would be a handful.
What is a habit that sharpens your communication skills?
Sales calls.
Yeah,
Sales calls are sharpen my communication for sure. Oh, another one that's kind of unique. I think opportunities to explain what you do to people who are outside of your industry are really, really helpful. So for example, I was at dinner with my parents the other night and they were asking me questions about my business, and it really forces me to get very clear and very simple. And that's one of the practices that I teach my clients, is how to make complex topics simple in the way that you talk about them, because complexity, simple sells, complexity confuses, right? So when you're around people who are not in your industry, or let's say you're out at a dinner and you're meeting new people and they ask you, so what do you do? If you give them the pitch that you give other people in your industry, they're going to they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? But if you can figure out a way to say it that makes sense to the general public, then that's a good practice.
Very good. Last question is, my motto is sell more to give more, because as a person who is struggling in an immigrant family and was a pastor, and, I didn't do that for the money clearly, but it's to serve. What does it sell more to give more mean to you?
Well, I see sales as service in general. I will never, ever offer anything to somebody that I don't believe will actually help them. And I turn people away all the time who I don't feel, need what I'm offering, or if they're not the person who I'm well equipped to work with, I'll send them to somebody else. And I think that is just one way to demonstrate integrity, to actually help people. It's not about, like you said, taking their money for the sake of it, but actually being able to help them. And I also find that with the sales as service thought, you see the actual act of selling, of enrolling, of selling on an idea, like a lawyer, like I was talking about earlier. You see that as service in and of itself. I've had so many people come to master classes with me, or come to a call with me, or meet me in person after speaking at an event or something like that. And they may not even end up paying me or buying anything, but they thank you. They say, thank you so much for that conversation. Thank you for helping me see things that I didn't see. That's a main principle that I teach too, is that your process of marketing and sales and communication is helping people see things in a new way. It's not teaching them how to do something different. It's not teaching them step by step. It's helping them think differently. It's changing their perspective. And if we can do that, even if they don't buy anything, that person has changed for the better just from encountering you, just from talking to you. And I think that that's how I see sales as service and actually helping people.
Amazing. I'd actually love to challenge you to see some music, whether it's piano or guitar or flute, singing, composition, and maybe that's part of your VSL, or maybe it's part of one of your new offers, the sold out, and then you can sing it out. It'd be kind of a fun challenge. But I want to thank you so much. I'd love to get another opportunity to talk about, the healthier side and coming out of burnout, because that's a real thing. Yeah. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again, Jacqueline, so much for your time. And we have so many people that are watching this that love this interview. And they said, great job, guys. So thank you guys for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast. Now, you heard what Jacqueline Yvette says. Now go apply what you learned today to your next sales conversation, your marketing copy, and practice leading with clarity, calm, and service. So if you're ready to master faith-driven sales psychology and close high-ticket deals with integrity, as Jacqueline was saying, head over to pro.gosalesninja.com and join the free training. And we're here to help you sell with confidence and serve from a place of purpose. Remember, your work is stewardship. Keep your eyes on God. Stay faithful in the small steps. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much again, Jacqueline. You're amazing. We want to help you to sell more, to give more.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care. Sorry.